So today I'm going to try how to make Captain America's new arm shield from Infinity War. So you want to start by getting a 3mm sheet of craft foam, and then you want to trace the shield pattern onto it, and I do have a pattern for this at the woodlandelf.com/pattern/Captain America. So once you've got the basic shield traced onto the craft foam, cut it out with a pair of scissors. And then this part is optional, but it does make it stronger, so I laid it on a piece of Wonderflex and traced it out about 1 inch wider than the craft foam pattern. So there's the Wonderflex once I traced it out. And then the craft foam will lay on the inside of that, and you'll fold the edges up around it. So to do this, you just want to heat up your Wonderflex with a heat gun. You just want to do it in little sections, so only do the piece that you're going to fold, just a few inches at a time. Once it's hot enough, just fold it up around the craft foam. And then you just keep going all the way around, and then of course you want to round it out because the shield wasn't flat, so you'll heat up the whole thing with the heat gun. And you'll do this part even if you're just using craft foam because you want the rounded shape, so you heat up the whole craft foam too. And then you just kind of hold it in so it gets that rounded shape. So there it is once it's rounded. So then I just cut a couple little rectangles out of Wonderflex, and I'm going to put those on the back side of the shield. I'm going to do 4 of them in all. And so you want to take something sharp and poke 2 holes through the front part of the shield, and then take one of your little squares and line it up over the holes, and then poke through the holes again so that you get the same holes in that little rectangle. And these are going to keep the cording from ripping through the shield so that you can use it to attach it to your arm. So you just take a little piece of ribbon and pull it through one of the holes, and then to get it through the shield you might want to thread it through a needle just to make it easier, but you poke it through the holes on the shield, go up through the back, and then down through the front, and then come up through the back, and then come up through the other hole in the rectangle. And so then you just tie those down so that the rectangle stays in place. And these are going to be used kind of like loops to run the main thread on, so cut off the excess. And there they are on the front, and there they are on the back. You do 4 of them, 2 at the top and 2 at the bottom. And so then I just took a piece of bias tape, and you can use pretty much anything for this, any kind of cording that you have, and you just run it under one of the little ribbon loops and then under the other one. You want to measure it, make sure that your hand can fit underneath it. And then you just tie it off. So then I'm measuring it around my hand. Then you just tie it off into a knot. And then of course you do the same thing at the top, sliding it under the little ribbon loops, measuring it around your arm, and then you just cut off the excess and tie it off. So there it is. You can see holds on pretty good, and you can always tighten it up even more if you need to. And so then you want to cut out the little pieces of the pattern, and so the pointed piece goes on the end. You can just kind of see how they lay out here, and if you're using craft foam, then you'll just glue these on. If you're using Wonderflex like I am, you'll just heat it up and it'll fuse to itself. So the little pieces start in the same spot. So there it is, once they're all fused on. And so then, again, if you're just using craft foam, then you'll just glue them on instead of heating them up. So then you cut out kind of the bigger piece of the pattern, and that's going to overlap the lower pieces that you put on just a little bit. So it overlaps all those little pieces just a little bit, and then once you got that on, you'll put the little pieces on top of that. Obviously I'm not actually attaching them here, I'm just showing how they lay out, and then I'll attach them all in a minute. But so this is basically how they lay out. It's not exactly the way it was in the movie. I simplified it quite a bit just to make it easier because it was kind of hard to cut out the exact same way. So here it is once I've got all the pieces fused on. Again, I heated it up because I'm using Wonderflex to make it stronger, but if you just do craft foam, then you can just glue it on. So you might give the whole thing a coating, 3 coatings of Elmer's glue, and you do this if it's craft foam as well. And then once the glue is dry, paint the whole thing black. It was actually gunmetal gray in the movie, but I couldn't find a gray dark enough, so I just did black because I thought it looked better, and I did the inside too. I took off the straps just so I wouldn't get them all paint, but I'll put them back on later. And so then for the final step I took some metallic silver paint, and I just kind of went along the edges, made them look a little roughed up, and then of course I put on the big silver strips, the top and on the bottom. And then just added some more kind of little, tap the paintbrush up and down just to give it a few more dings to make it look used. And so then there's the entire shield.